A very warm welcome to each and every one of you on the channel. And if you are just joining us for the first time today, a special thank you for clicking on this video, because what we are about to discuss is not just another routine update. This is the moment that an entire community of investors and global watchers has been holding its breath for decades. In a stunning segment that has just erupted across Iraqi national television, the Prime Minister of Iraq has stepped forward and, with a clarity and finality that has never been witnessed before, confirmed the operational framework for the comprehensive Iraqi Dinar Currency Reform Plan, officially slated for a full-scale rollout in 2025. Let that sink in for a moment. This is not a rumor from a cryptic blog, nor is it an analysis from a financial guru in a foreign land. This is a direct, on the record, an historic confirmation from the highest executive office in the nation, broadcast to the entire world, signaling that the long-anticipated revaluation of the Iraqi dinar, the fabled RV, is now closer than it has ever been in modern history to truly, and I mean truly, grasp the earth-shattering weight of this announcement. You have to rewind the clock and understand the absolute abyss from which the Iraqi dinar has been struggling to climb out. Picture the 1990s, a nation crushed under the weight of severe international sanctions following the invasion of Kuwait. The dinar, once a robust currency, began a horrifying freefall, transforming from a currency of value into near worthless paper. People's life savings evaporated overnight, and the economy was pushed into a state of primitive barter. Then came the 2003 war, which, while removing a dictator, plunged the currency into even deeper chaos. The new government, in a desperate attempt to create stability, introduced a new currency, but the damage was done. The dinar was internationally synonymous with instability and hyperinflation. For the past 20 years, the Iraqi dinar has been trapped in a paradoxical prison of its own design, pegged artificially to the US dollar, but at a rate that made it a joke on the global stage, a currency that you could not use to buy a cup of coffee outside its borders, a currency that required you to carry a literal brick of banknotes just to purchase a decent mobile phone. The exchange rate became a national embarrassment, a constant reminder of a broken economy. Behind the scenes, the story was slowly changing. The key to any currency's strength is not just the oil in the ground, which Iraq has in staggering abundance, the stability and sovereignty of its financial institutions. And this is where the narrative takes a critical turn. The Central Bank of Iraq has been waging a silent war for years to achieve exactly that. Their efforts to crush the black market dollar trade, which has been siphoning billions out of the formal economy and undermining the national currency, have been intensifying at a breathtaking pace. They have been implementing sophisticated electronic platforms for all foreign currency transfers, creating a transparent and traceable financial trail that leaves no room for the shadowy dealers who have manipulated the dinar's value for so long. Furthermore, the international community, particularly the United States through its strategic framework agreement with Iraq, has been pushing relentlessly for these very reforms, understanding that a stable and economically independent Iraq is crucial for the entire region's stability. This announcement from the Prime Minister is not an isolated event. It is the culmination of these years of painstaking, behind-the-scenes work. It is the political seal of approval on the technical groundwork already laid by the central bank. He is essentially telling the world that the internal systems are now robust enough, the anti-money laundering measures are stringent enough, and the fiscal reserves are secure enough to support a transition to a new, internationally recognized value. This is the green light. This is the signal that the country is ready to re-enter the global financial stage, not as a beggar with a weak currency, but as a sovereign nation with vast economic potential, ready to leverage its immense natural resources, its young and growing population, and its strategic geographic location to build a modern, diversified economy. The 2025 date is not arbitrary. It is a strategic timeline that allows for the final pieces of this complex puzzle to be put in place, including the potential issuance of lower denomination notes that would be practical for a revalued currency, the final integration of all banks into the federal electronic system, and a nationwide public awareness campaign to prepare the Iraqi people for this monumental shift in their daily financial lives. The Prime Minister, by making this announcement on national television, is not just informing his citizens. He is sending a direct message to the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, and global investment funds that Iraq is officially open for business in a way it hasn't been for over half a century. So the monumental question now, echoing from Baghdad to boardrooms in New York and London, and undoubtedly in the living rooms of every dinar investor, is what does this actually mean for the world, and more specifically, for the long-anticipated revaluation event itself? Let's dismantle the fantasy and look at the concrete reality. A true revaluation, or RV, is not a magical lottery win. It is a deliberate, technical, and highly strategic economic recalibration undertaken by a nation's central bank in coordination with international financial bodies like the International Monetary Fund. The goal is never to make foreign speculators rich. The goal is to restore national economic sovereignty, combat rampant inflation, and facilitate international trade by establishing a credible and strong exchange rate. The Prime Minister's confirmation of the 2025 Reform Plan is the clearest signal yet that Iraq is preparing to execute precisely this kind of calibrated maneuver. Think of it this way: for years, Iraq has been like a billionaire forced to use monopoly money. They possess immense wealth in the form of the world's fifth largest proven oil reserves, a potentially massive agricultural sector, and a burgeoning non-oil industrial base. But their medium of exchange has been so debased that it acts as a crippling barrier to real, sustainable growth. This reform plan is the process of swapping that monopoly money for a hard, globally accepted currency that accurately reflects the true, underlying value of the Iraqi economy. This is where the conversation fascinatingly pivots to the Vietnamese dong, another currency often discussed in the same speculative circles. The connection is not merely coincidental. It is rooted in a parallel narrative of post-war economic recovery and the journey from a centrally planned, isolated economy to a globally integrated market. Vietnam, like Iraq, has undergone a remarkable transformation, and its currency has been managed in a way that many analysts believe could be a template for Baghdad. The State Bank of Vietnam has maintained a tightly controlled, gradual appreciation of the dong against the US dollar, focusing on stabilizing inflation and building formidable foreign exchange reserves, which now stand at over $100 billion. This managed float system has allowed Vietnam to avoid the shock therapy of a sudden, massive revaluation while still steadily increasing the international purchasing power of its currency and attracting colossal foreign direct investment into its manufacturing and tech sectors. The Iraqi announcement signals a potential move towards a similar managed stability, but with one critical difference: the sheer scale of Iraq's untapped economic potential, primarily driven by oil and gas, is of a different magnitude altogether. The successful revaluation of the Iraqi dinar would send a seismic shockwave through emerging markets, and the Vietnamese dong would be directly in its path. A stronger dinar would instantly make Iraqi oil exports, priced in a stronger currency, more competitive, potentially repositioning it in global energy markets and forcing other petroleum-dependent economies to reassess their own fiscal and monetary policies. For Vietnam, a major trading nation, a shift in the value of a key regional currency alters the entire calculus of import and export costs. But more profoundly, a successful RV in Iraq would serve as the ultimate proof of concept for other nations with similarly manipulated or undervalued currencies, demonstrating that with political will, financial discipline, and international cooperation, a transition to a fair market value is not only possible, but can be the catalyst for an economic renaissance. It would embolden reformers in other countries and could potentially trigger a domino effect of currency normalizations across developing economies. However, let's be unequivocally clear about the timeline and the process. The Prime Minister said 2025 for the reform plan, not for an instantaneous RV tomorrow. The plan is the roadmap, the revaluation is the destination. The coming months will be dedicated to the meticulous execution of this plan, finalizing the international banking agreements, ensuring the new lower denomination notes are printed and secured, rolling out public education programs, and most critically working with the IMF to determine the optimal new exchange rate. This rate will not be a random number. It will be a carefully calculated figure based on a basket of metrics including purchasing power parity, Iraq's foreign debt obligations, the size of its monetary mass in circulation, and the imperative to not trigger hyperinflation. This period will be marked by intense scrutiny, volatile rumors, and likely several false starts. But the official confirmation from the highest level means the train has definitively left the station. The era of endless speculation is over. We have now entered the phase of watchful, evidence-based observation of the implementation of the most significant economic project in modern Iraqi history. So as we stand at this historic crossroads, looking ahead from today towards the officially declared finish line of 2025, what is the realistic step-by-step roadmap we can expect? And what does the world look like on the other side of this monetary transformation? The path to the 1st of January 2025 will be anything but quiet. It will be a meticulously choreographed sequence of technical, financial, and public relations events, each one building upon the last to ensure a smooth transition. The immediate next phase, which we are already entering, is the period of hyper-vigilant implementation. The Central Bank of Iraq will now accelerate its crackdown on the remaining black market currency exchanges, effectively herding all foreign transactions into the regulated banking system to solidify control. We can expect a series of joint announcements from the Central Bank of Iraq and the International Monetary Fund, likely detailing technical assistance agreements and benchmarks that Iraq must meet throughout 2024. These benchmarks will be the true indicators of progress. They will involve specific targets for reducing the money supply outside the banking system, further increasing foreign currency reserves, which are already at record levels, passing critical financial legislation through Parliament that formalizes the new exchange rate regime. Then, as we move into the latter half of 2024, the practical preparations will become visible to the public. This is when we should be watching for the announcement regarding the new currency notes. The lower denominations like the 1, 5, 10, and 25 dinar notes that have been the subject of so much speculation. Their introduction is not just a symbolic change of paper. It is a fundamental prerequisite for a revalued currency, as it is impractical to have a dinar worth several dollars and still be using 25,000 dinar notes for basic transactions. The logistics of printing, securing, and distributing these new notes globally is a Herculean task that will take months. Concurrently, a massive public information campaign will be launched within Iraq to educate every citizen on what the change means for their savings, their salaries, and their daily purchases to prevent panic and ensure social stability. As we approach the final quarter of 2024, the most critical and closely guarded secret in global finance will be the final revaluation rate itself. This number will be determined in closed-door sessions between Iraq's financial leadership and the IMF based on a complex algorithm that balances national debt, GDP, foreign reserves, and the goal of achieving purchasing power parity with neighboring countries. It is at this point that the currency auctions, a primary tool for the current exchange rate, will likely be phased out and replaced by a new fixed or managed float system. The moment the new rate goes live, likely on a pre-announced date, the entire Iraqi economy will be rebooted. Overnight, the nation's wealth on paper will skyrocket. Its ability to fund massive infrastructure projects without taking on debilitating foreign debt will be transformed, and the pride of its citizens will be restored. For the global investor, this is the moment of truth. The key will be having a clear strategic exit plan, knowing which international banks will be authorized to handle the exchange, and having all your documentation in perfect order to facilitate a smooth transaction. Post-RV world is where the real story of Iraq begins, a nation no longer defined by conflict and sanctions, but by its potential to become a leading economic powerhouse in the Middle East, leveraging its reconstructed currency to build a diversified, modern economy that provides prosperity for its people for generations to come. This is not just a financial event, it is the rebirth of a nation. Now, if this deep dive into the most significant financial story of our time has given you a clearer picture, then I need you to do 3 things for me right now. First, if you have not already, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and most importantly, tap that bell icon so you don't miss a single second of our continuous coverage as this story unfolds. We will be here every step of the way, providing you with verified, data-driven updates, not sensationalized rumors. Secondly, I want you to let me know in the comments below what you think the most realistic exchange rate will be and how you believe this will reshape the entire global economic landscape. Your insights are invaluable, and this conversation is just getting started. And thirdly, share this video with just one other person who needs to hear this. Confirm official news and understand the realistic roadmap ahead. We are building the most informed community on this topic, and your share can bring someone the clarity they have been searching for. This is the moment we have been waiting for, and I will be your guide through it all. Thank you for watching. Stay informed, stay vigilant, and I will see you in the next update.